welcome into Out of Rhythm Fantasy Sports.
Yeah.
It's actually Monday. It's actually Monday night, not Tuesday night. So I'm Jamie. That's Eli, and it's Monday. And it's Monday. We're actually airing on a Monday night, which is crazy. But welcome in everybody to Out of Rhythm Fantasy Sports.
Yeah.
Popping everybody's cherries. We've done shows Tuesday night. We've done shows Wednesday night. We've done shows Thursday night when we were under a previous name. We've done shows on Saturday night when we were under a previous name. This is our first Monday show. Yay!
Yeah.
LA Knight knows. Yeah, he's wrestling. He's gonna be wrestling Roman for the championship in Riyadh at the Crown Jewel show. Can't wait.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy shit, man. Crazy. We have a Facebook user that has I don't know, he hasn't said just blank. I don't know who that is, but welcome in whoever Facebook user you are, I guess.
It's okay. I
yeah.
say thanks all the time.
But anyways, yes, we're gonna jump into. We're actually gonna we're gonna do about an hour, so we're gonna try to recap most of. He's like, yep, that's for sure. We're gonna recap the weekend. We're gonna go through some of the games quickly, as many as we can, and then we're actually gonna get into our highlighted players. And then to wrap up the show, we're actually got our college spotlight. Blake Corum, who's actually going to be in the 2024 NFL draft this upcoming season. So we'll just kind of talk about him, discuss him a little bit. And yeah, man, it's about right. So if you're in the dynasty, so if you're in those dynasty leagues like me and Eli are, this is the guy that's going to be in those. It's going to be an NFL draft, and then when it comes to rookie drafts, we'll be able to actually draft this guy and put him in our, either we start him this upcoming next year, or we'll have him in our taxi squad. So, but yeah, other than that,
stick around. Probably about 45 minutes from now, we'll do our highlight on Blake Corum. So if you're a Michigan fan or you're looking to draft future running backs, he might be one of your guys because he's definitely going to be a higher running back taken. And then we're going to hit on a couple, my riser that I've been doing the last few weeks. I like to give you guys somebody that you probably heard the name, but you don't know, okay, why is this guy being picked up so much, or why is he being talked about so much? And so I'm going to kind of back it up for our riser of the week. Me and Jamie are going to get into some highlighted players, guys that popped in week 8. And it's be about a 50-minute to hour show. So, which is a little more compact than usual, which is probably a good thing. And then actually tomorrow night, we'll be back again for a Halloween show, Halloween edition of Out of Rhythm. We're going to be talking waivers. So that'll give you guys an extra night because we don't know what's going to happen in this Lions-Raiders game that's, starting in about probably about 20 minutes. Trey Tucker's a waiver guy that's available in a bunch of leagues. He might tear it up tonight. Is Jimmy playing for the Raiders? I think Jimmy's playing.
I believe so. I believe he is playing.
You never know. You never know. Lions defense is questionable at times. No, maybe Jimmy, Trey Tucker, and Michael Mayer, the tight end, maybe they all tear it up, and gives you a reason. Or conversely with the Lions, maybe Jameer. Happy Halloween, buddy. Maybe Jahmyr Gibbs, he goes down tonight. Maybe they're going to be Craig Reynolds. Craig Reynolds has been a hot, waiver guy in different formatted leagues, especially deeper ones. So Craig Reynolds. So we'll wait on, see what happens tomorrow night. We definitely have some thoughts on other guys, but yeah, we'll get into some goodies tonight and tomorrow night, and then I'll give you my DFS bargains for DraftKings. So if you guys want to make a little money there, so 2 nights in a row of us.
Woo!
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah.
Oh, hey, buddy. It's nice to see you, man. It's been a minute, I guess. It's been a minute that you popped on and joined us for a little bit, actually in the comment section. Before we get too far here quick, make sure you guys actually join our Discord. The link's in the description below. And then make sure you follow us on Spotify, Apple, and Google Play, where you can get all of our show from this tonight will be on there, and our waiver show will be on there tomorrow too as well. And if you actually do miss the college spotlight, that will be on there too as well. So you'll have 3 podcasts from us this week, which is kind of insane. I've been trying to add just a few more different little college spotlight. Just been trying to add that on there a little bit more too as well. But yeah, go ahead and follow us on Spotify, Apple, and Google Play. So we appreciate it. Maybe we can get a review sometime. I know we haven't had a review yet, but I know our play count's been going up on Spotify, and just overall our play count's almost 1,000 plays already, which is awesome. So we appreciate everybody who's actually been tuning into us and listening to us audio wise as well. So we appreciate everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And the older content, man, we had a bunch of predictions. I feel like Nostradamus, man. We had a bunch of predictions over the summer, and a lot of them, hey, they're coming to fruition. A lot of guys and some guys I didn't expect. We'll talk about one in a few minutes here. Will Levis, I didn't see Sunday coming for him, but that was definitely a pleasant surprise. I know Jamie's happy. And other guys too that have been hitting. Josh Downs is really, if you read the bottom scroll today, I put a lot of the rookie stats up. Josh Downs is in quite a few of them. CJ Stroud's leading, pretty much everything with rookie quarterbacks, touchdowns, passing yards, completion percentage. So yeah, go back and listen to some of the archive shows, and you'll see where we started this train. Choo choo.
I have to get a train sound on here now. Woo!
Yeah, right.
Buddy, what do you mean? What's the handle on the streaming? I don't understand that part. Are you talking about our audio parts, which is just Auto Rhythm Fantasy Sports? Just type that in, and then we should pop up. So if you're on, I know you got an Android, or Spotify, whichever, or Google Play, just type in Auto Rhythm Fantasy Sports, and you should be able to find us. So just follow us and hit the little bell. So when a new pod pops up, you're like, boom, a new pod pops up, and yeah. Anyways, couple injury news quick. Let's see. Amon St. Brown, if you're actually listening to us tonight, Amon's suiting up. The other sad thing is Clayton Tune might be starting, so we were having high hopes for Dobbs in that meantime, and we'll talk about that riser when we get to that, about the possible outcome of that, and Kyler Murray too as well. Let's see, Tyson Bagnet will be starting again this upcoming weekend, which is awesome.
The Badger.
We have Tyler Taylor went to the hospital. Desmond Ridder might not be starting, and then we have
he should have went to the hospital. The way Ridder was playing.
Yeah, we have Fournette who is joining the Buffalo's practice squad. Kirk Cousins is out for the season. Yeah, I know he's all happy. You're all happy about that.
Blue life special for Buddy. Yeah.
Kirk Cousins out for the season. Matthew Stafford. He went. He had X-rays on his thumb. Kenny Pickett is the game time decision for Week 9 for this Thursday game, which is Thursday. Kendrick Bourne is done for the season, ACL tear. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in the waivers when we get to that. Who maybe to pick up on that end, and Will Levis could be in the highlighted players, maybe, possibly. Is actually starting Thursday against Pittsburgh. So that kind of covers most of the top headline news from the weekend. Other than that, we could. There's a lot we could probably discuss and talk about, but a lot of that we'll kind of talk about in our review or recap of the weekend with some of the games. We'll pretty much touch on all the games, our thoughts and whatnot. So we'll just kind of discuss that, and we'll give that a brief moment here or two. So we try to get through all the games, and then highlighted players after that, and then our college segment. So, okay, which game do you want to start on here, big boy? Let's get going on these games, get these games recapped, and
just for just for my, it piqued my curiosity. This was like the stat line was like a 1950 football game. I mean, the Giants and Jets. It was ugly. Somehow the Jets won. I'm happy for the Jets that they're staying afloat right now, and without Rodgers, because I think Rodgers is trying his damnedest to get back for the playoffs. If the Jets somehow get in, I could see Rodgers coming back for if they make it to the divisional round or conference championship. I really think he's pushing the pace of his rehab. So it's kind of cool to see, the Jets kind of hanging in there. Zach Wilson's playing decent, not enough to start in fantasy, but, in deeper quarterback leagues, 2 quarterback or, just 20, if you're in a 20-man league or something, I mean, he deserves a spot on the bench, definitely. Or you could throw him in on a bye week, in a 2 quarterback league. So it's good to see that with Zach. I was just like, dude, they haven't run an NFL running back 36 times probably since we were kids, back in the, mid-late 90s. That just doesn't happen anymore. Saquon rushed it 36 times. Just incredible. Yeah. Average wasn't very good. I think it was less than 4 yards a carry, but he was beating it in there because they had no quarterback. Dude, they had, I think 6 total yards passing. That's
I think it was -9 yards passing or some shit like that. I think it was
probably with the sacks. Yeah, probably with the sacks and the rush for loss for the quarterback. Yeah, that doesn't happen. That's 1985 Bears stat line. So that game kind of piqued my curiosity just based on you just don't see offensive performances like that in modern NFL. So that'd be the first game that came to my mind.
Yeah, it was. Wilson looked. I was kind of watching I actually went back and watched all the the recap highlights of all the games. I think Wilson is getting a smudge better. I just think that his releases his decision making needs to be a little bit quicker, because I know I watched a couple of them where he actually was taking too long to get rid of the ball and scrambling and getting sacked a couple of times in there, because that part didn't look good. But he had 260 yards or 240 yards passing and a touchdown, which was only to Breece Hall. Was the only touchdown in that game. Breece Hall had a pretty good. Breece Hall had an amazing game. He had 2 for 17 yards rushing, or 12 for 17 yards rushing, but he had 9 targets, 6 receptions for 76 yards, and a touchdown in that game. Breece Hall, don't trade him. Unless you really have to trade him, make sure you get a handful, because Breece Hall is out factoring, Cooks and Carter. They were pretty much non-factors in these games. Lazard had he had about 6 targets in his game. It wasn't much, but Wilson, was the guy who actually took it home. 13 targets, 7 receptions, 100 yards. So that was about 26 some odd points in that game. It's hard to say who the tight end, because they didn't really have anything in this game. The tight ends weren't really a factor in this, just because the low scoring, just kind of back and forth. There wasn't really much going on besides a couple of breakout. The only things that were good in this game were the running backs. Barkley and Hall were the guys were just going back and forth in this game here. And the other thing I mentioned too, I already mentioned Wilson. He's starting to look a little bit better, but he's still got a lot of work to do. And then he's got to get rid of the ball a lot quicker too. That's the only things I'd seen from this game. And then Giants, what the hell? The wide receivers, what the hell? I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know what to do with the wide receivers. There's nothing going on. The quarterback's trash. The wide receivers ain't doing anything. You would have thought somebody would have stepped up, but with all this issues with the quarterback, yeah, it's going to derail everything. The only thing that you can do is run the damn ball. So
they have Jamie. They have the worst. Jamie, they have the worst receiver situation in the league.
Yeah.
They don't have a number. They don't have a number 1. They might not even have a number 2. Wan'Dale Robinson is the closest. Wan'Dale's the closest thing they have to a 2, and he's that's iffy. They are, and then we think about Kansas City. Now, Kansas City, they're another team that could use an upgraded receiver, but at least they have Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey. Who the hell do the Giants have? You really trust Darren Waller? Waller is, every other week he'll be good.
Yeah,
this was another off week for him. In fantasy, I'd ship his ass out. In fantasy, Jay, I'd ship his ass out. Saquon's gonna, as long as Saquon's healthy, he's gonna be getting the touches. Don't move him. Waller out the door. their receivers have no value, you might as well drop them, especially if you're in like 12 man or under. I'd drop all of them. I wouldn't have a single giant receiver unless it was like a deep, like a sleeper or like a 16, 20 man. 16's even iffy. I mean, they're trash, absolute garbage.
All right. Let's hit up the Browns Seahawks game. Browns 20, Seahawks 24. Walker had a PJ Walker had a pretty good game, 248 yards, touchdown, had 2 interceptions. He had 6 for 17 yards, 6 for 27 yards rushing. Hunt he had 14 for 55 yards. He had a touchdown in there, had 1 reception up in there. Strong looked pretty good. I actually seen a couple highlights of that. Strong had 10 carries, 41 yards. He had one awesome reception for 41 yards. That was pretty cool. Cooper and Njoku were pretty much the other 2 guys in the Browns offense that actually looked pretty decent. Cooper had 89 yards. Njoku had a touchdown and 77 yards. So, I mean, pretty much Cooper and Njoku were lighting it up pretty well. The running back situation, it's kind of still iffy because Ford was in there a little bit, even though he had that ankle injury. Is Pierce Strong a factor in this offense? Ford was limited with some carries.
I'll let you get to the Seahawks in a second. I'll just talk Browns quick. Running back situation. Going forward, I wouldn't be shocked. Right now, Kareem Hunt's tearing it up because he's got fresh legs. And let's just be honest. There's a reason why they didn't sign the guy during all the off season and first 4 or 5 weeks of the year till Nick Chubb went down. So there's a reason for that. I mean, if this guy was still 2018 Kareem Hunt, I mean, he'd be on every roster in the league. So I think Pierre Strong, the way he's coming on, and we predicted he was one of my risers a couple weeks ago. If you guys want to go back and watch one of the older streams, Pierre Strong is going to be their feature back. I'd say by week 12. You mark it down. He's gonna pass carries, or take the carries from Ford, and then Kareem Hunt's gonna be his backup. So Ford's gonna move back to the third running back, which is crazy because right after Chubb was hurt, who was the feature back for a couple weeks? It was Jerome Ford. So that's just my prediction. I think, and we'll talk about Strong tomorrow in the waivers because he's still. I'm not sure what he's at sleeper, but right now on Yahoo it's 10% rostered. So he's ridiculously underrated, and going forward he's just going to get more and more and more. Especially if Watson's not in there and they're dependent on PJ Walker. They're going to be more and more dependent on the running game. So,
yep. Then I just pretty much got is how long is Watson out yet? I'm just curious because we don't know how long.
As long as he can be.
Yeah, I would say so.
This is why they don't give people fully guaranteed contracts. He's the reason. This isn't the NBA. Just a complete shit show. I mean, and they've got a damn good. I mean, they do. They have a damn good team. If his ass was in there, not being creepy, funneling people at masseuses and shit, like the Browns could win 10, 11 games. I mean, they really could if this piece of garbage was in there playing quarterback. But
yeah.
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started on Deshaun Watson. I can have my own show for that.
And then pretty much could Njoku be good? Is he a good enough tight end to actually, for the rest of the season, or do we try to trade him here before our leagues trade him? Before everybody's leagues, before the trade deadline, do we try to trade him try to maybe get that little extra push or something like that? I mean. If you're looking for a running back or something like that, that's the only other question I got. Unless you got an extra tight end, maybe try to, if you need an extra boost, maybe try to trade him off for somebody.
Yeah, I agree. If you could, he's great. I mean, when he's on, I just don't trust the quarterbacks there because PJ Walker's a third stringer, DTR doesn't fully have the offense yet. He's struggling. Watson, I don't trust. So yeah, if you can get some great value, now's the time to move, especially before this fantasy deadline and the NFL deadline coming up. I'd try to move Njoku. So kind of consider your options with guys in your league.
Yep. And then we have Smith on the other side for the Seahawks. Smith had a pretty good game, 254 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He had 2 interceptions, but we had Charbonnet kind of leading the pack there. Even though He had 5 for 53. Donovan says, "Did I miss the Winston talk?" No, not yet. We'll be getting to that. Yep. Charbonnet had two catches for 11 yards. Walker eight carries for 66 yards. He had one catch for 4 yards. Lockett had a pretty good day, 9 targets, 8 catches, 81 yards with the touchdown. DK had 67 yards, 14 targets that game. JSN, and he had a TD, 36 yards on 4 targets. And our favorite guy, Jabobo,
Yeah.
he had a touchdown in this game too as well. He had 2 targets, 23 yards. This is Jason's second touchdown in a row now. And then we had Bobo. He had a pretty good game. And so do we start JSN more often now since he's probably got 2 touchdowns in a row, and Bobo in deeper leagues?
Well, buys will happen again next week. This was kind of an odd week in the middle of the year because there's no buys. So JSN on a regular week, no. On a bye week next week, I would definitely consider throwing him in. Last 2 weeks, 2 consecutive games with a touchdown. I think he's starting to come on. I think DK is a little banged. I don't think he's 100%. I don't think DK is going to be 100% probably till the end of the year. So he's kind of a JSN might be a de facto number 2 if you really think about it. So he's in a good spot. I even like Bobo. He was my riser last week, and he'll probably be on my waivers. I'm pretty sure he's not more than 4 or 5% roster. I'd have to double check that for tomorrow's stream, but it's they have weapons up the ass. Like there's no reason that Geno, like if you have shares of Geno, that he shouldn't be taking you to the promised land. I mean, Geno's kind of letting people down with fantasy. I'm sorry, 250, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks isn't terrible, but with those weapons, it's 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, like that's the standard. Okay, you should be putting that up, most weeks. Not every week you're going to have a stinker, but he's got the weapons to do that. And the running backs, I like Charbonnet. Another guy we talked about before the season started, like what he was going to do. Great compliment to Kenneth Walker. Yeah, they got the only weakness is tight ends, and Noah Fant's not even that bad. I mean, he's not terrible. Yeah. So they're on offense, they're loaded. Seattle is loaded.
They are. Yeah, they actually they just took they took the division over the 49ers. So yeah, the 49ers, we'll get to those here. We'll get to them here soon too. Jaguars and Steelers. Jaguars 20, Steelers 10. Lawrence had 292 yards and a touchdown and an interception. Easton had 24 carries, 79 yards. He had a 2-point conversion, and he had 6 targets for 70 yards, and he had a touchdown. So, and then we had Riley, who actually went off 10 targets, 83 yards, no touchdown. Kirk went off. That didn't go off. He had five targets, 46 yards. Ingram, 10 for 10 targets, all catches, caught all of his catches, 88 yards. Just plain insane. And I just recap on that, and then we'll get over to the Steelers side. Easton pretty much. He was the main factor in this game. I mean, he was the guy that was just going off. He was able to get it in and out of this Steelers defense. Looks like they were playing slack because all the wide receivers were actually just being able to actually catch the balls. They were able to do what they wanted to do. I mean, his team pretty much just walked right through their defense, and then same way with the Jaguars. The Jaguars wide receivers, they actually pretty much had a heyday with this defense. They weren't like they were really pressing too much. I mean, they were catching balls left and right. Just this insane game. Just totally crazy.
To me, Jacksonville, they are Seattle with a better quarterback. I mean, that's really what it comes to. Yeah. Same weapons. ETN, just an absolute animal. Tank Bigsby, if you look at some of the rookie stats I put on the scroll, like Tank Bigsby he's having a pretty good rookie year. He's a nice compliment. all the weapons on the outside. Christian Kirk's kind of back to his 2021, 2020 form, having a great season. Evan Ingram's, he's worth every penny that they paid him in the offseason for that contract. If you can get some shares right now of one of these guys, I do it. I just see Jacksonville's going to maintain this. So if anybody's willing to part with an ETN or a Kirk or a Ridley, even Evan Ingram, get your hands on these guys, because this is just going to keep going. This is a riser segment in itself. I mean, this is a team riser. I mean, this team, they're going to win 13 games. I mean, people predicted before the year that Jacksonville would win 13 games, and they will win 13 games. I mean, this is a damn good team.
Yep. Then on the Steelers side, we had Trubisky, who came in for Pickens, whatever hell you want to call it. He had 138 yards, touchdown, 2 interceptions. Harris didn't really do a lot. 7 carries, 13 yards, 5 targets, 42 yards. I mean, Deontay Johnson was the guy, 14 targets, 85 yards, just missed on a touchdown there at the end. Pickens was pretty much a no-show in this game. Pretty much, he had 5 targets, one catch for a touchdown in there. Pretty much, Pickens lost the game in the fourth quarter through a late interception that killed everything. The Steelers struggled after Pickens left. there wasn't really much they had, the only person that was a factor in this game was Deontay Johnson. He was catching everything and anything, kind of little spurts here and there but they didn't really have a lot. Warren was limited, and their production was just crap after Trubisky. He's pretty much a number 2, but not a great number 2. At first I thought he was he was a good guy to actually lead the offense, and he does a few things, but after he lost out and Pickett or whatever hell his name is, took over. He's just kind of a that's Trubisky wrapped up in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, they're in trouble. Najee Harris, if you got shares of him, out the door right now. Get him off your goddamn team. I'm about ready to do it myself. He's on one of my teams, and I'm like, I benched him. If somebody's willing to give me something, he's going up on the block. He's overrated. I don't know what the hell happened to him from a couple years ago, but Najee Harris is not. Yeah, he's terrible now. Warren is not much better, but he is a little better. So I'd hold on to Warren, stick him on the bench. If the Steelers were like 2-5 or 1-6 instead of 4-3, I think Najee Harris would be just in general. I think he'd be traded. I really do. I think he's in his 3rd year and just not living up to his rookie year. Receivers, it's not their fault. Pickens can only do so much when he's got Mitch Trubisky throwing the ball. Half the game. Pickens, but he did have a catch and 22 yards and a TD, so he kind of made chicken salad out of chicken shit and got a few fantasy points. Deontay Johnson doing his normal thing. Yeah, Deontay doing his normal things. He's back healthy. That's good. That's a good sign. Pat Freiermuth, the tight end, he'll be back in a couple weeks from the IR. So things are looking up with the passing game. Like if Pickett can, I know he's got banged up ribs, but I think if he can be back healthy by week 10, then I think they'll be fine. But I worry about the running game, which you think of Pittsburgh, you think of the ground game, you think of a tough team. Defense is tough. Sure. Passing game is going to get better, but they just can't run the football right now.
Yep. All right. Let's hit up Denver 24, Chiefs 9. Russ Wilson, pretty decent game. 3 touchdowns, only had 114 yards passing. Jamal Williams, 27 carries, 85 yards. He had 3 targets, 13 yards, and 1 touchdown in this game. Judy, 6 targets, 50 yards, and a touchdown. Sutton, 3 targets, 29 yards, a touchdown. What? Where did this come from? Yeah, where did this come from? I'm like, go ahead.
I think Denver saved. I'll let you continue, man. But I think Denver saved their season. I think, we had Judy and Sutton both out the door. We really did. Didn't know about Javonte Williams' health. I mean, Javonte carried the ball 27 times. He's healthy. We both love Jaleel McLaughlin. If you guys didn't pick him up a couple of weeks ago, you missed out because he's a nice compliment backup. Tight end Dolchis is healthy. He's not being used a ton, but Russ, that's where Russ is most efficient. I mean, he had good completion percentage day, 114 yards, 3 TDs. Like that's the kind of Russ that we remember from Seattle 10 years ago when he was at his best. 10 years ago, it was just efficient passing, not too many attempts. Lean on the running game, just beat. Javonte. I mean, he's got a little Marshawn in him. I mean, he'll wear you down. And I think the Broncos give up 9 points from where they were at like beginning of the year, giving up 70 to Miami, and where that defense was beginning of the year. They couldn't stop a nosebleed. Even with Mahomes being sick, I mean, that's still impressive. So, Denver, I don't – when the trading deadline comes tomorrow, like when we got our scroll up, I don't see any Broncos being traded now. I think they can salvage the year because they got some games. I mean, the Vikings are coming up in a couple weeks for them. Vikings aren't that tough now that Cousins is out. Like, that's a winnable game. Obviously, they got the Raiders again. That's an easily winnable game. Chargers, winnable game. So there's some – if they can piece this together and get on a run, I mean – Denver maybe could win 8-9 games. It would seem crazy, a month ago, but
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean that was my question is, with these couple touchdowns here, is Judy and Sutton safe from being traded? I mean, it sounded like the head coach too as well. They just sound like they don't plan on probably trading anybody, but that's probably all hearsay. I mean, they say that, oh well, no one's gonna be traded. Next thing you know, boom, big old trade happens. Mahomes, 241 yards, passing, 2 interceptions. Payako, 8 attempts, 40 yards. Rice, 5 targets, 56 yards. Kelsey, 9 targets, 58 yards. I mean, I saw Rice had a nice catch in there. He plowed over his the guy tried tackling him. That was kind of nice to see. And Kelsey, I mean, it pretty much seemed like the 2 factors in this game, even though that Mahomes was kind of dealing with the flu and not playing well. But if he wasn't feeling well, I mean, he should have just stuck it out and just not played. But his performance was kind of pathetic in my eyes. But I mean, that's what happens when you play sick. You think you can play pretty good, but it's you have to be physical and you have to throw the ball. It's when you're sick, you're not 100%. Let me put it that way.
I like Rashid Rice. He's the only one. I don't like Tony. I damn sure don't like Sky Moore. Sky Moore is a scrub. MVS will have his moment every third, fourth game. He'll have 3 grabs, 85 yards in a tutty. So you can't trust him every week though. The only guy they have to upgrade. I mean, Kansas City. We haven't heard any reports yet. They better be getting on the phone with somebody tomorrow. Whether it's my beloved Bucks about Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, or it's gonna be hard to get what happened yesterday with the Titans, and we'll talk about them in a second. Like you're probably not gonna be able to get DeAndre now. The Titans are still in it. You're probably not gonna be able to get DeAndre Hopkins. So where are you gonna go to get a number 1, number 2 receiver? It's gonna be Kelsey and Rashid Rice. So if you got Rashid Rice, hold on to him. I mean, this was a mirage. Patrick Mahomes will be back to being Patrick Mahomes again next week. Don't worry, Buddy's got him on his fantasy team. Don't worry, Buddy. If you're still listening, don't overreact to Mahomes. He'll be just fine.
Yeah, I have him in one of my fantasy leagues too, and he only put up 7 points, and I'm just like, yeah. All right. Titans 28, Falcons 23. Will Levis. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Mr. Gun Show himself.
Right. 238 yards, 4 touchdowns, 7 attempts for 11 yards rushing there. He had 34 fantasy points pinning on your fantasy league. And Henry, 22 carries, 101 yards. Hopkins, he only had 6 targets, 128 yards with 3 touchdowns. 6 targets, only 6 targets, over 100 some odd yards with 3 touchdowns. This just blows my freaking mind. Tannehill I think Tannehill needs to go. They need
pack your bags for Minneapolis, buddy.
Right?
Yeah, I think you're at Tannehill right now.
Let's do it. I already mentioned in my notes I said could Levis could make a push, become a starter, but that's already confirmed. He's going to be starting this. He'll be starting this Friday or this Thursday. Hey Bubba, how's it going?
Bubs.
Yes, but yeah, and then on the other side, I'll just recap quick, and then we can just then you can chime in real quick. Heineke came in for Ritter, pretty much. He had 175 yards, one touchdown. Bijan, Bijan, he had 11 carries, 62 yards, one touchdown. London, 7 targets, 55 yards. We had Hodgins up in there. It was kind of the highlighted a little bit of this game. Three targets, 75 yards. Heineke, probably the Falcons started for week 9, possibly. Any insight on both these teams?
Yeah, I think it's not. Ritter wasn't a high enough pick. Like Mac Jones, a middle first round pick. Like when Mac got benched, you knew eventually he'd work his way back in because he's too high of a pick. There's a lot of strings attached to it. Desmond Ritter was a mid round pick. Like he's not going to get that same. He wasn't playing like awful. I mean, I've seen worse, but he definitely wasn't a benefit to the team at all. He was okay in fantasy some weeks, but I don't have any thoughts one way or the other. My assumption would be just based on how much the teammates like him, and he's a better leader in my opinion. I think I'd roll with Heineke the rest of the year. Like if they're not going to trade for a quarterback, you can't get Cousins now. Obviously, if they're not going to try and get a Tannehill or somebody like that, then I would just roll with Heineke and with the NFC South, I mean, 8 wins might be good enough to get you in the playoffs. So I think Heineke could definitely get them to 8 wins for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I would have to agree. I don't like Ritter too much. I think Heineke is a little bit better leader in my eyes too as well. Because he was slinging it, and when he got that one touchdown, he was pretty happy with that. So, and then so Miami Patriots, Miami 31, Patriots 17. Tua had 324 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. The Moose Stewart.
Yeah.
13 carries, 46 yards, 1 touchdown. Hill, 13 targets, 112 yards, 1 touchdown. Waddle, 12 targets, 121 yards, 1 touchdown. And that lousy Cedric Wilson, 1 touchdown, 1 yard, 1 target, blah, blah, blah. Who cares about Cedric Wilson? Hill has 1,000 yards in 8 games, which is impressive. And the other thing is, will he make it 2,000 yards before the end of the season? Is the thing that comes to my mind.
Thought on the Dolphins quick, Jay. Keep Jeff Wilson on your back burner. I'm telling you. I know A-Chain might be coming back, maybe a couple weeks or so. But Mostert, just based on his history, if he stays healthy, this guy's gonna be an all-pro running back. I mean, he's leading the NFL in rushing touchdowns, right up there with yards. I mean, he's neck and neck with McCaffrey for this stuff. I mean, this is an all-pro level season, but based on his history with San Francisco and with Miami, he's bound to go down. And they're starting to get Jeff Wilson more touches. So just keep him in the back of your mind. If you need to, jump on somebody that's going to be available in a bunch of leagues, I would definitely keep Jeff Wilson on, in the back of your mind.
Yep, I think
I like the way they're starting to use him.
Yeah, I think the rookie will. I think Achane is how we say it now. Achane. When he comes back, I think he'll slowly be kind of put back in the role a little bit. So I think it's going to be one of those things. I think they'll kind of go with, they'll probably start the game, and then they'll probably toss in, so they'll probably toss in one of the other 2 guys to kind of mix it up, and that's kind of what I'm thinking when that does happen, when that he does come back. So on the other side here, we had Mac Jones, 2 touchdowns, an INT, 161 yards. Stevenson, 10 carries, 39 yards. Elliott, 7 carries, 36 yards. Bourne had 4 targets, 36 yards, and a touchdown in this game. Douglas, who we mentioned about last week, 7 targets, only 25 yards. Juju was a little bit of a factor in there, not much. I mean, he was involved a little bit in this game. And do we stick with Douglas in deeper leagues, or do we, with the fact that Bourne is now gone, what do we do? Do we, who do we pivot to now?
I think they like Demario Douglas. I think they like him more than they like Juju. Juju's just I think he's just there collecting a paycheck. I'll be honest. I think he's disinterested there. He makes a few things. Like he's caught a touchdown yesterday. Just a few things because he's a professional athlete. There'll be a few moments, but I don't trust him. I don't trust him on my team. Maybe in 20-man, I'd keep him on my bench. But yeah, Juju, I definitely don't trust. I thought Tyquan Thornton. I thought he would come back from the IR, and Thornton would. He's their second-year guy that he had decent rookie numbers, and I thought he'd have more of a role this year because I thought their offense would be better. I think a lot of people did. I mean, they didn't think it'd be garbage like this, but I'd say of everybody, Jay, I think with Bourne being done for the year, I think Douglas, and he's going to be available in a ton of leagues. He's less than 5% rostered in Yahoo, like throughout their app, their server. So what are your thoughts?
I think he's only like 2% rostered in maybe in sleeper leagues as well, because I know we kind of brought him up the weekend before. I mean, I wish we had the booty monster back, but he's nowhere to be seen. I mean he was highly ranked in some of these prospects for this year. I haven't seen anything with him. I don't know. It's hard saying Juju will probably be the guy since Bourne is gone. Juju will probably be that he'll probably start, and then maybe Bourne and then not Bourne. I mean Douglas. So with Thornton. Even though he was a rookie last year too as well. I don't think the Patriots are going to be really doing much. I mean they look crappy. There's not a lot to be excited about in this offense, which is why a lot of time
Hunter Henry going to get 15 targets a game.
Right, but this is what I think.
Andre, that's what's probably going to end up happening. Their receivers are going to get each like a target or two. Hunter Henry will get like 13 a game, and then Ramondre Stevenson will get the rest, and maybe Zeke gets 1 or 2.
Yeah,
that's going to be the breakdown of the Patriots offense without Kendrick Bourne.
Right. Yeah. All right. We have a few more games to get to here quick, and then we'll get into our highlighted players. Vikings 24, Packers 10. Cousins had 2 touchdowns, 247 yards passing. Akers pretty much outdid Addison. I can think of his name now because I didn't write him down. 9 attempts, 19 yards, and a touchdown. Addison 8 targets, 82 yards, a touchdown in this game. Osborne 10 targets, 99 yards, no touchdown in this game. And Powell, the guy we liked, was pretty much lost at sea, nowhere to be found. Pretty much Hawkinson 9 targets, 88 yards, and a touchdown before Kirk Cousins got injured. And then pretty much the Vikings had no run game. Osborne saw 10 targets, which is nice, and Addison with the touchdown in this game. And then do the Vikings tank, or do they try to trade for a QB before the trade deadline happens?
Hot take: I'd get rid of everybody. If you have shares of them, trade them now. Running now. I wouldn't move off Cam Akers though. Cam Akers, he's been a pleasant surprise for them. So if you've got shares of Cam Akers, I'd keep him right where he's at, probably on your bench, maybe a bye week fill-in flex guy. Everybody else, Jordan Addison, Jordan Addison's great, but a lot of his stats were from Cousins. Cousins is people can say what they want. I mean, this guy is a top, I would say top 7 fantasy quarterback. He really is. Like, he doesn't do the rushing stuff that Josh Allen and Jalen and Lamar do, but just consistency every week. It's 300 yards. It's 2 touchdowns. It's 3 touchdowns. Just a fantasy monster, in my opinion. Top 10 at the worst. And where else are you going to find a top 10 fantasy quarterback? You're not. You're going to go get somebody off the scratch. You're going to get somebody off scrap heap. There's a reason why Carson Wentz was cut by a couple teams or traded. Like he doesn't have it. They're so desperate. They're so desperate. They're talking about bringing back Case Keenum. Like this is 2017 or something. Ryan Tannehill, and he's not that great either. But Ryan Tannehill is the best option. If you can somehow get him tomorrow, you probably get him cheap. Kyler, I wouldn't risk it for Kyler, because the Vikings are probably either going to draft a quarterback or re-sign Cousins if he's healthy next year. So I wouldn't break the bank. And Kyler can't win in the playoffs. I mean, we've seen him, against the Rams, and I think he's played 1 or 2 playoff games, and he looked terrible in both. So I don't trust Kyler in the playoffs. So I wouldn't make a big move unless you're trying to win a Super Bowl. I wouldn't, I would get Tannehill, be okay with that, and just, probably give up a second and a 5th round pick for Tannehill, something like that. Maybe a 3rd and a 5th, and just kind of take your chances. That'd be my opinion, and that would give them a reasonable distributor, and then you wouldn't have to move off some of these fantasy guys. But if they're going to go with this young 5th round kid that was playing a little bit Sunday, if they're going to go with him or Sean Mannion or any of these other, garbage backups, I'd move off Addison now. I'd move off Hawkinson now. Unless this is a keeper league or dynasty, if this is a redraft year to year, I'd move off all of them because their value will never get higher at least for the rest of the season, I don't believe. Because I think, knowing the Vikings, I think they're going to go with a backup or they're going to go with some scrub. Like they're not going to make a big splash here, which, I get it, but.
Yeah, for sure.
Packers. I don't even want to talk about the Packers. Can we skip the Packers? I don't even want to talk about them.
I'll highlight them quick. Love, 229 yards, 1 touchdown. Dylan, 6 attempts, 11 yards. But Aaron Jones, 7 attempts, 29 yards. Reed,
trade him too. Trade Aaron. Yes, I said it. Trade Aaron Jones now too. Something's not right. That offense, it's the offensive line or it's him. Something is not right. Move off his ass now.
Yep.
Package deal.
If you guys got any more comments, just keep them rolling while we're recapping all the games.
Yeah, we're talking Midwest teams. If, you missed the Broncos, but we're talking Vikes and Packers now. If you're lucky, we'll talk Bears and Chargers. We'll talk Bears, but.
Yeah. Let's see. Reed Dobbs, right? I mentioned that. Watson, 8 targets, 33 yards. Watson is pretty much a. Then
trade him too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Trade his ass too. Running backs, tight ends were not a factor in this game. Watson, is he healthy? Only 33 yards in this game. That's my question. And the rookie Reed was pretty much cutting through the Vikings defense. Reed was the guy who was just splashing and dashing, man. He's like, yep, boom, give me the fucking ball. So
I like Jaden Reed a lot, and I liked him before the season. He's the only Packer, like fantasy wise. I mean, Dobbs is okay. Dobbs gets you a touchdown every now and again. I think he's got 5 this year. 5 or 6. I mean, Dobbs is having a pretty good year himself, but this Jaden Reed kid, this guy's the real deal. That's about it. Everybody else can just. I'm not even talking about the Bears. They're such a joke already. You're right, Bubs. I agree. 100%.
all right,
but Jay will probably talk about them for 30 seconds or something. But
yeah, we have 6 more games to get through. Well, 7, and then we'll get into our highlight players. We'll rapid fire here with these last 6 games.
Fire, baby.
Texans, Panthers. Texas 13, Panthers 15. Stroud 140 yards. He had a touchdown this game. Noah Brown, 5 targets, 57 yards. Nico Collins, 6 targets, 30 yards. Schultz, 5 targets, 2 yards. The Texans led most of this game, but I mean they lacked the run game. Stroud scrambled pretty much often. The fullback only had the early touchdown in this game. Stroud had that touchdown too as well. The Texans didn't really. I mean, this is. I mentioned this last week. This game was probably gonna be a wash game because these offenses were kind of shitty. There's not really much there. That was just my point of nothing really popped.
You see the fantasy difference when Stroud is having 300-yard games and when he's having 140-yard games. He looked like a rookie. it looked like a rookie matchup between two bad teams, the Texans and Panthers. But Stroud, he's still good. You're going to have days like that. Yeah, I mean, he didn't turn the ball over a bunch. They could have won that game. So I'm not going to.
Yeah,
It's just part of being a rookie. I'm not going to tear it up every game. Tank Dell still, not right, and I don't think he was even playing.
Yeah, he did play. He played. He had a couple catches. Yeah, he had a couple.
Well,
catches.
he's not right. I mean, he's working his way back. So, but you get him and Nico and Schultz. Some of the guys that were hitting a few weeks ago. I think they'll get back on track here soon. I've been impressed on the Panthers side, dude. I've been impressed with Bryce Young the last couple weeks. He's coming on. Not anything crazy. I mean, he's still learning the NFL. Maybe down the line, but he's not tearing anybody up. But I'll take that. If I need a fill-in guy or a cheap DFS guy, I mean, whatever, 240 and a touchdown, a few rushing yards. That's not bad.
No.
Not killing you with turnovers and Adam Thielen's still producing. Mingo's been Mingo hasn't exploded for a 100-yard game yet, but he's been pretty consistent. In that 30 to 60 yard a week range. So not good enough to put in fantasy, but probably good enough in a deeper league to definitely have on your roster on the bench. So Mingo for sure. Yep. Panthers just don't have one. I mean, Miles Sanders is another guy. I wouldn't just trade him. I would cut him. Miles Sanders, cut him. You see that? Cut him now. 2 carries, no yards. Oh my God. You and I could have last year. You and I could have run behind that Philly offensive line. The fact that Miles Sanders had 1,200 yards. Ooh.
Yeah. Bubba says I'm taking a chance on CJ for the rest of the season or rest of the year now that Richardson is out.
Absolutely.
So Bryce Young 235 yards, 1 touchdown. Chuba 15 carries, 28 yards. Thielen 11 targets, 72 yards, no touchdown. Mingo looked a little bit better. 5 targets, 62 yards. Then Tremble, 3 targets, 4 yards. Hubbard's Hubbard's the main guy now. I mean, sprinkle in a little Sanders here and there. Thielen is the number 1, and Thielen will target. Young's going to target Thielen a little bit more. I mean, it's nice to see that Mingo got some targets in that he got some targets in this game. I think the guy you trust in this back or just in general is just Thielen. Thielen, you can't really trust anybody else. Hubbard, I mean, you have to. I would have to see a little bit more from if you haven't gotten Hubbard already. I mean, plugging him in. I mean, you have to do what you got to do. But pretty much Sanders is pretty much out the door.
Get out of here.
Ravens 31, Cardinals 24. Jackson had 157 yards. He had a touchdown. Gus Bus 19 carries, 80 yards, 3 touchdowns this game. Zay Jones 5 for 19. Bateman 2 for 2. And Andrews had 5 targets, 40 yards, and a touchdown this game. Bateman and Zay not really much of a factor in this game. Zay, I'd probably still plug him in. Bateman, I would play him more in deeper leagues, not really, a 12-man or 10 to 12. I don't like Bateman. I really didn't like Bateman too much at all. I didn't really like a lot of the Ravens wide receivers in general. Just say Gus Bus pretty much had 13, or not 13, 3 touchdowns in this game, and Andrews pretty much had a touchdown the last couple of games here now. So other than that kind of right, and then likely
they come. Yeah, these Ravens guys, they pop, and then like the next week they're MIA or they get hurt, and then you can't predict. Oh, Gus the Bus is going to go off against the Cardinals, or
right.
When's the next time? It's like a fucking calendar. It's like, can I plug him in for week 14? Watch. Justice Hill will lead them in carries next week. Or Keaton Mitchell when he comes back. 3 weeks from now, Keaton Mitchell will lead him in touches. I don't trust any of them. I know he had 3 touchdowns. I know he was a monster. If you were lucky enough to get him in your lineup or in DFS, you probably made out like a bandit. But you can't. There's no consistency with it.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
It's Gus Edwards, man. Come on.
Yeah. Dobbs had 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interception, and he had a 2-point conversion with a touchdown in there as well. D Mercado, 20 carries, 78 yards. Brown, nine receptions, 33 yards, and a touchdown in here. Michael Wilson, 6 targets, 58 yards, and McBride, 14 targets, 95 yards, and a touchdown in this game. D Mercado should be the RB1 in there, sprinkling a little Ingram, I think, up in there. McBride, I think he's a tight end pickup. We pretty much told everybody last week to pick this guy up. And Dobbs, well, I was gonna say Dobbs is pretty much pick him up if you're in 2 QB leagues, but scratch that because he's pretty much out, and there'll probably be Clayton Tune or Kyler Murray, hard saying who's gonna be coming up next week. So this is going to be a ouch, 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 ouch.
Just before they start building momentum, they're going to bench they're going to bench Dobbs. I don't understand the reasoning behind it, but I don't understand anything the Cardinals do. They're a trash franchise. Kyler's healthy, not playing him. I think they have him on ice because they might trade him tomorrow or something. Clayton Tune, I get wanting to see what you have with the rookie, but for fantasy owners, I don't want to hear that. Dobbs has got a good rapport with McBride now. Now that Ertz is out, he's the feature number 1 tight end, as he should have been all along. I'm going to talk about him here in a second in the riser segment. D Mercado, baby's out with the bathwater. We told you guys a couple weeks ago, snag this guy up. Now he's up to 36% rostered. By tomorrow, it'll probably be 40. By next week, it'll be 55. He's the feature back for the Cardinals. Let's face it, 20 carries, 78 yards. That's a damn good week. Michael Wilson. Now, the Michael Wilsons of the world, the Rondale Moores of the world, I'd be a little worried about them. I'm not worried. Regardless of quarterback change, though, if it's Tune, if it's Kyler, if it's Dobbs, I'm not worried about McBride. I think he's got the goods, and I'm not worried about D Mercado. Everybody else, in Hollywood Brown too. Hollywood Brown's and he gets targets regardless who's throwing. But the kind of the role players, I'd stay away from Michael Wilson right now. I'd stay away from Rondale. I'd stay away from guys like that until they figure this out. Deontay Ingram, the backup running back. Yes, guys I'd stay away from.
Wilson, if you have to play Wilson deeper leagues, play him in deeper leagues, especially 16 if you got to. He's probably your best option to believe. Probably get at least a couple of receptions up in this game. Bengals 31, 49ers 17. Burrow 283 yards, 13 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns in this game. Mixon 16 carries, 87 yards and a touchdown. Chase 12 targets, 100 yards and a touchdown. Higgins 6 targets, 69 yards. Boyd actually had 3 targets, 40 yards and a touchdown this game. All wide receivers were factors in this game. I'm not fond of
anybody that traded. Just saying, Jay. Anybody that moved off Burrow at the beginning of the year, buyer's remorse much? He's back. Offense is back. Everybody's eating now. Everybody's eating at the table. Chase is out of this world. If you didn't do anything dumb and trade him, or act crazy with Joe Mixon, act crazy with Higgins, any of these guys, now you are being handsomely rewarded because the Bengals are just firing on all cylinders. I'll let you get to the 49ers too, but I don't have much to say about them other than Deebo Samuel being out. I don't trust him. If you had shares of Deebo, I would trade. He's too good to drop. You know what I mean? The sharks in the league will be all over that. But I would either bench Deebo or trade him. I'm tired of him. Last couple of years, he's just so inconsistent. And pretty much McCaffrey took over his role last year when they traded for him. So the last year, he's never been quite the same Deebo he was a few years ago. So, but still too good. Still has those moments where he's too good to drop. If he's on the waivers, somebody's going to snag him up. So, try to get some value, name value. Trade him, if you can, tonight, tomorrow. Everybody else in the 49ers is still producing. Ayuk, Kittle, the usual suspects. But even Purdy, he's still, I know he's losing games right now, but he's still putting up decent stat lines. So I wouldn't, if Purdy's on your bench, I wouldn't move off him. I wouldn't drop him, wouldn't trade him. Just keep him on the bench. If he was your starter, if it was like a deeper league, that's a little iffy. Then you might want to consider a different starter for sure.
Two QB leagues as well. I mean, if you guys start him, you got to start him. I started him in where I needed to start him. I mean, for 24 points, you'll take it from Purdy. Purdy had 1 touchdown, 365 yards. CMC pretty much had a heyday, 12 targets or seven targets, 64 yards, a touchdown, 24 carries, 54 yards and a touchdown. Ayukin had 109 yards on 9 targets. Kittle pretty much 149 yards on 11 targets. Debo was out, like you mentioned. 49 for the Niners lose 3 in a row now after going 5-0. CMC was pretty much the main kicker in this game. Ray McLeod wasn't really nowhere to be seen. Ayukin with 9 targets. Pretty much Purdy loves Ayukin, so I mean he's tossing him the ball. And CMC had 17 games in that. 17 touchdowns in every game now. All right. Eagles Commanders, Hurts, 319 yards, 4 touchdowns. Swift had a touchdown this game, 16 carries, 57 yards. A.J. Brown, Deontay Smith, they both went off. A.J. Brown, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. Devontae Smith, 99 yards and a touchdown this game. That lame-ass Julio Jones a touchdown this game. Goddard was a little bit of factor. Not much. He had 7 targets in this game, but 36 yards. Downfall is they actually trailed most of this game, which is crazy. But with Brown and Smith, they were pretty much gonna just tell the Washington defense, "Hey guys, we're still here. We're gonna eat you guys alive." Somehow, on the other hand, 4 touchdowns, 397 yards passing, almost 400 yards passing. Gibson, he was kind of involved in this game. 2 carries, 14 yards. He was pretty much more of a factor in the passing game. Robinson, 10 carries, 59 yards. Had some nice runs in that game. I was pretty well impressed with that. 2 targets, 20 yards in that game. Dotson, on the other hand, 10 targets, 108 yards and a touchdown. Crowder was actually involved in this game. 7 targets, 95 yards and a touchdown. McLaurin, 12 targets, 63 yards and a touchdown in this game. And then Logan Thomas as well. I mean, Logan Thomas, 8 targets, 44 yards and a TD in this game as well. Somehow had a heyday, 4 touchdowns in this. And the rushing was kind of lacking, but, they actually had all their wide receivers all over 20 points. So your thoughts on this game here real quick.
This guy, Sam Howell, if you believe it or not, this guy's the 11th ranked fantasy quarterback. People probably looked at us funny when we said beginning of the season we're reviewing players, and back in August, I said he'd be like maybe the 21st to 20, somewhere in that range, low 20s fantasy quarterback. Probably like Sam Howell. He's going to get, what are we talking about? Fool. He's going to get benched, probably week 6. He's going to be benched. He's going to be Desmond Ritter. That's what we're going to call being benched now. Rittered. Sam Howell, he does some goofy stuff with the ball sometimes, and, they're not winning a ton of games. But fantasy wise, this guy is almost a must start every week. I'm serious. Yeah. 2 quarterback league, start him. Definitely 16-man every week. Start him. 12-man, damn near. The only for sure league that I wouldn't start him under any circumstances is 10. And if I have a bye week, I would. So it's like, Sam Howell is like winning, like what you think of a great quarterback. No, he's not that. But a fantasy quarterback that you can throw in, and there's been guys like that in the past, like Ryan Fitzpatrick. How many years did Ryan Fitzpatrick have like top 15-ish fantasy numbers, at quarterbacks? He throw all those touchdowns. He have some boneheaded picks or fumbles or something, but like Sam Howell is just chucking it up. 397, 4 TDs, 1 pick. That's a damn good fantasy stat line. I'll take that any week.
Yeah.
Eagles. I don't have any thoughts on Eagles, Jay. Eagles just did the same, same thing AJ does every week. Same thing Devontae does every week. Same thing Swift does every week. Same thing, it's just like clockwork. They're what you'd expect.
Yeah, pretty much. Dallas. All right. So Dallas 43, Rams 20. Prescott, 340 yards, 4 touchdowns. Pollard with 12 carries, 53 yards. Lamb, 14 targets, 12 receptions, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns in this game. Cooks, 4 targets, 49 yards, a touchdown. Ferguson, 4 for 4, 47 yards, and a touchdown in this game. And the Dallas defense did pretty much a heyday in this game. Had an INT, a touchdown, a couple sacks, and a safety as well. Gallup wasn't really a factor in this game. Pollard, was pretty much no touchdown in this game. Lamb had 14 targets, pretty much 12 receptions. And, Dallas D just shows that they can rock, that that they're still elite. They're elite defense. On the other side, Stafford, 162 yards, 1 touchdown, and he had an INT in there. And he had that 2-point conversion. Henderson, 12 carries, 31 yards. 3 targets, 54 yards. Freeman was a little bit of a factor. He had that touchdown there. He had 9 carries as well. Puka and Cup pretty much non-factors. They both, Cup 10 targets, Nakua 7 targets. Sonornik. Chapanornik, eh? He had the only touchdown in this game. Higbee, a little bit of factor in this, but Cup and Kanua were limited. Dallas rocked the Rams, and pretty much their wide receiver. I think it's their wide receiver 4. Pretty much scored the only touchdown in this game, and I know Stafford could have been hurt too as well.
Another hot take here. I think Puka might have jumped the shark. Like if you're in a redraft year-to-year league, based on his stats, he's in the top 5 and everything. I don't think his value is going to get any higher this year. Obviously, keeper, dynasty, completely different animal. Keep him, obviously. Redraft year-to-year, I'd ship him out. I would get rid of Puka Nacua. I don't think that his value is going to get any higher. I think Stafford's going to be banged up next couple weeks. And then he'll surprise you. He might play, or I think the best of the Rams season is over now. I mean, they're signing retread. I mean, guys that are leading them now were cut, literally cut in the middle of last year. Darrell Henderson Jr.
Yeah.
He's leading them in carries now, leading that, he was their leading yards guy and receiving yesterday. That screams a bad team to me. That screams if they have to put a backup in, I forget who, because I know Stetson Bennett, he's off the team right now with some issues. So I don't even know how their backup. Brett Rippon, you really trust Brett Rippon to get it properly to Puka and Cooper? I'd move. Yeah, it's going to be one or the other. I mean, we thought, and they both were coexisting under Stafford, but I think going forward, it's going to be one or the other. I would take Cooper Kupp and Puka. While his value is super high, I'd ship him out.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt at all. Try to ship him out. Try to get something from him if you can. If you're making a push for the playoffs, it doesn't hurt because if Stafford, I mean, it just showed that when the Rams play a decent team, that these two guys ain't really being they weren't really a factor in this game. So I mean, it showed that they can be shut down, even though they had the targets. They were being shut down. Okay, 2 more games here, and then we'll get into highlight players. Saints 38, Colts 27. Carr 310 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kamara 17 carries, 59 yards and touchdown. 5 targets, 51 yards, and a touchdown in this game. Shaheed 3 targets, 153 yards, and a touchdown in this game. Thomas 4 targets. 4 receptions, 68 yards. Olave 5 targets, 46 yards, and that damn Tyson Hill.
Tyson Hill.
He went off. So if you need somebody, go trade. Go try to trade off, or try to go get Tyson Hill. Make sure you probably get into your lineups. I was kind of hesitant. I only got him in, I think, 1 league or in my dynasty league, so I might actually probably start. Since if they're gonna start using him like this, I'm gonna start putting him in my dynasty league in my lineups. And we'll talk about Shaheed probably tomorrow too as well. I think he's available in most leagues, and we'll probably talk about him tomorrow too as well. And Kamara is kind of like the Niners CMC. I mean, this guy he's legit. I see in a statistic these both guys. Honestly, these both guys they're pretty much the same running back. I seen statistics, and they're pretty much even across the board. They're pretty much their statistics wise was maybe a few yards in between, but these two guys are pretty much what guys want in a running back. These guys are pretty much dual threat guys. I mean, these guys are legit.
Yeah, this is how the Saints should have looked all year. I mean, Derek Carr's not great or anything, but every fourth game, every third, fourth game, he can get you a stat line like this: 310, 2 TDs. That's what he should be doing all the time. They're all pretty even in yards. We thought Olave's technically the number one. He leads them. He has over 500 yards receiving, but Michael Thomas and Shaheed, they're not far behind. So it's kind of being evenly distributed. Like there's not one guy that's got 750 yards. The other two guys have like 200, 250. So it's all pretty evenly distributed. Kamara being back is a huge factor. Kendre Miller's kind of taking a back seat. I'd drop him. Like if you've got, it's gonna be, and then Jamal Williams getting healthy. Like it's gonna be Kamara and Jamal Williams like going forward. Yeah. So I don't think there's much. I mean, there's always that injury possibility, but Kendre Miller right now, if you need a roster spot, I'd definitely drop him. And then on the flip side, the Colts, more of the same from Josh Downs. He's gonna. I'm telling you, he's going to pass Michael Pittman Jr. as their number one guy soon enough.
Yeah.
Michael Pittman Jr. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Minshew, you know what? Minshew might be on my waiver 5 tomorrow. Minshew, he's solid. I've seen worse. Geno Smith didn't put up any better stat line yesterday than Gardner did. And Geno, you would have had to draft it. I mean, Gardner Minshew was universally available, universally undrafted. I like these guys. Sam Howell, probably undrafted in a lot of leagues. Like these guys, you're picking them off the scrap heap, and they're putting up, Sam Howell's case, 11th best fantasy quarterback numbers. And Gardner Minshew, since he's been in the lineup, he's probably top 22, 23 fantasy quarterback. That's not bad. That's good.
Yeah.
You have to double check that, but like that's good enough in 2 quarterback leagues to start every week. You just that second guy. Yeah. That's Gardner Minshew. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially with these weapons he's working with. I mean,
right?
Pittman Jr. and Downs. I like it.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Taylor's healthy again, catching balls out of the backfield. I love it. Zach Moss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let
me talk to you.
Minshew had 213 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had an interception, though. Zach Moss, 11 carries, 66 yards, and a touchdown this game. Taylor, 12 carries, 95 yards, had only 1 reception in this game. Pittman, 13 targets, 40 yards on touchdown. Downs, 9 targets, 72 yards, no touchdown this game. Ogletree had 3 targets. He had that late touchdown that game, 33 yards on touchdown. I think this, I think their backfield is pretty much a dual, pretty much a 1-2 punch, with Moss and, get it started with Taylor and then sprinkle in a little Moss because he's been a huge factor in this game. Minshew's, I just think this is what the Colts.
It's amazing. I was just say quick, Jay. It's amazing what getting out of Buffalo will do for you. How bad is their running game? Look at Zach Moss, just absolutely great season so far.
Yeah, he has. I mean, I'm happy for the guy. And the bad thing is that the Bills just signed Fournette. Come on now. What else? I think
desperation.
Yep. I think the Minshew is what the Colts needed. To kind of feed the wide receivers, but even though Anthony Richardson is kind of like a runner too as well. He's kind of like a Jalen Hurts. He'll toss if he needs to, but Minshew's that pocket passer guy. He's not going to run that much, and this is why that Downs is the factor. This is why Pittman's getting more targets. The offense looks way different with Minshew in it than it did with Richardson in it. But the Colts fell short. They just kind of missed. There were a few drives they missed, and it's just kind of a shitty thing. And do you want to recap the Chargers Bear games at all, or just get right into the highlighted players?
Badgett got crushed Justin Herbert put up his normal 300-yard, 3 TD stat line. Austin Eckler went off. So if you had Austin Eckler, you probably won your matchup.
Yep.
DJ Moore, he had one of those down weeks, like he had a bunch of those in Carolina, and it's going to happen. I mean, DJ Moore's been having top 5 or 6 fantasy receiver numbers so far. It was bound to happen. Just couldn't keep up that pace, especially with the shitty quarterbacks. Like Badge's not even Justin Fields. I mean, let's just be honest. So it's going to affect. Cole Kmet went off. I know Cole Kmet had 10 catches, so on a bunch of targets. So it might benefit Cole Kmet. Like if you have Cole Kmet, stick him. Yeah, absolutely. Try to snag him up, like trade for him or start him. But yeah, Chargers smacked him around like I figured they would. So it's not much other than that.
Yeah, Eckler. I mean, he had only 29 yards rushing, but he was a big factor in the passing game. Allen, couple 10 targets. Johnson actually was kind of irrelevant now. He actually kind of came around with 6 targets there. Eckler pretty much was a pass factor in this. Johnson, now if Palmer's out, maybe it's time that, Johnson actually comes the wide receiver 2 now, possibly. Hopefully that happens. But we'll have to see with the Palmer, if Palmer is out. If not, I mean, Johnson would be that wide receiver 3. Yep, Mooney had 1 great catch in that game. That was about pretty much it. Yeah,
so much for my pickup. So much for giving Mooney love last week for a pickup.
I told you. I said nope.
His food was cold. The food was cold on the pickup. I don't want any more DoorDash. No more DoorDash for Darnell Mooney. But I was gonna say quick too, Jay, and I'll let you finish. Thumbs down. Quentin Johnston actually showed some signs of life. 5 grabs, 50 yards. So that's a good sign, knowing that he has a pulse. He does exist.
Yeah. The other couple of things is I think Badgett actually looks better than Fields. The way he actually tosses his, gets the Bears up and down. He's not an elite quarterback. That's just my perspective. If he doesn't scramble. He just stays in the pocket. It just shows that this kid he can actually distribute the ball to all these wide receivers, unlike Fields where he's running around with his head cut off like a fucking chicken, and then he runs and it's just up and down, and it's I think Fields, if he gets his shit together, he could be an elite quarterback, but the Bears are just crap. But I just like what I saw out of Badgett. That's all. It's just maybe Fields should take some lessons from the rookie, and maybe he might get better. All right, so that covers our recap of the weekend. That kind of went a little bit longer than a normal. But yeah, we'll hop into our highlighted players of the week. Jahan Dotson is one of my highlighted players here from the weekend. 25 fantasy points. He was out on 85% of 85% of snaps, 10 targets, 8 receptions, 108 yards, 13.5 yards per catch. This was his first double-digit game. And then his first 100-yard game too as well. He's only had 2. This is his second touchdown from the season now. Before, he had probably 7 already. So he's lacking that. So he's actually had more. So he's got involved this week because it's probably in division or rival. Which is kind of typically happens. I think the other couple of target games. Oh, I was going to say games to probably target is probably more of if he's going to have these many targets, maybe he should actually, in week 11 against the Giants, week 12 against Dallas, or maybe games you probably should start him where he could probably see double-digit targets, maybe a touchdown or so. I just don't think he really hasn't been much of a factor. So now I think in my eyes with this game, you ship him off. You try to get something in return, because I have some shares of him and he's been on my bench all season long. So now that he's maybe kind of rectifying some of his season, get him out the door. Hurry up. Just get off him as quick as you can.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I think this Commanders passing game is pretty lethal. like fantasy wise. I mean, one week you'll see Samuel pop, you'll see McLaurin showing some signs of life again. Dotson in a couple games like this, Logan Thomas even like they're putting up points and I mean, Sam Howell is chucking it. I'll tell them. I might hold on to some of their guys. Yeah, it might be a little overkill having so many of them, and they're all about the same. Except McLaurin obviously is number one, but Samuel and Dotson are about equal in terms of skill set, and Logan Thomas too. But I have no issue with trying to move Dotson, but that's just me. I'd hold on to him and I'd stash him on the bench like in a deeper league. But if you think that his value is if he's kind of peaked for this year at least, I agree with Jay. Just ship him out.
Yeah, I that's just me. I've been frustrated with him so much that, and even Donovan says, thank God Dotson finally showed up. Yeah. I mean, yeah, but how much more is he going to show up though? I mean, with the McLaurin kind of seeing more of the heavy of the targets in this last game, I mean, he's kind of out, McLaurin's going to outshatter Dotson. I mean, last year, McLaurin wasn't really himself too much and Dotson showed up. Which is why he was having these early touchdowns and whatnot. That's why he had like 7 some odd touchdowns in this game. So that's only downfall that I see with Dotson here. I mean, you can look at his last year. He had a total of 7 touchdowns total. That was it from last year. He only has 2 touchdowns now this year. That
that was his rookie year last year, though. I mean, that's actually a really good for rookie. So if he can, repeat, I mean, we complain all the time about Deontay Johnson, how he never scores touchdowns. So or Bijan Robinson from Atlanta, he never scores touchdowns either. But yeah, Dotson, I'll take if he can somehow get to 7 again, I'll take that. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, last year he only had 100-yard game, and that was against the Giants, with 1 touchdown in that game. So he had 2 touchdowns early in pretty much the first half of the game. So he had 5 touchdowns early, and then he was pretty much, I think he was injured, came back and only had 3 more touchdowns in the second half of that game. And he's only had, so this is his first time actually seeing double-digit targets. Other than that, there was 2 so Giants and the 49ers where he was close to actually having double digits, but with 9 targets there. But other than that, I would ship. I think this is his peak. I don't think he's really going to be doing any more than this. I mean, he might get you a touchdown or 2, but other than that, I get him up out of there. That's just, if you can trade for him. See if you can get some guy to snag him off. If there's some guy that was a Dotson lover and he showed something, just go trade for him. That's just my opinion. Overall thoughts on this guy. I actually put him. I think I put him up in the trade market in a couple leagues. I'm not sure. I don't remember offhand, but yeah. All right. Now off to
the
Will Levis. Yes, Will Levis. All right, Will Levis, man. Whew. 38 points. 29 attempts, 18 completions, 238 yards with 4 touchdowns. I know we kind of mentioned him in the recap there a little bit. I just think, just from what I saw, that Will Levis, dude, he looked way, way better than freaking Tannehill did. And Tannehill maybe only having a couple This guy threw 4 touchdowns in a game. 4, where Tannehill hasn't even done that yet. And this guy actually was this guy slung the ball. He actually, while falling, he threw it 50 some odd yards to a freaking for Akeem Ayin for a touchdown. And it's just just blew my mind. I'm like, dude, this guy he's a slinker, dude. I know you didn't really like him too much. I'm like, dude, if he gets a chance to play and he actually slings the ball and actually shows that he can actually move this offense up and down the field, it's going to be a whole totally different, Titans offense for sure.
I think they might have been going in this direction. It's almost like they knew they were going to take a big arm slinger. It was like they knew that hey, we We don't have that in Tannehill. We don't have that in damn sure not in Malik Willis. Malik Willis can't play. I don't know how the hell he's still in the NFL. I'm sorry. He's a complete. If he was a higher pick, he'd be more of a bust. I don't know how you can call whatever he is, 3rd round pick a bust, but yeah, he's terrible. Will Levis, it'd be interesting to see what he does against Pittsburgh. Just to, so there's no fool's gold with it. Because we saw Jordan Love. He's got a similar. It reminds me a lot of Jordan Love, but with bigger arms. In terms of the move a little bit, not super accurate, but got a cannon. It'd be interesting to see. But this is only going to benefit. I mean, if he's in there and he sling, he's not going to have 4 touchdowns with no turnovers every week, but that's going to benefit Treylon Burks. DeAndre Hopkins is back from the dead. DeAndre is 31 years old. It looks like getting the fountain of youth. I don't think they're gonna. They're still in the mix. They're 3-4. They're still alive. So I don't know if they're gonna trade off any assets. I think yesterday was their make or break. I think if they had lost, they would have moved DeAndre and they would have moved some pieces and kind of, okay, this season's a wash, whatever. And then we'll put Levis in there and see what he can do with Burks, see what he can do with Westbrook and Keene, guys like that. But yeah, they might have something here. And my thing, you need to be wearing these classic Oiler jerseys every week. These things are slick. They're clean. Seahawks too. The Seahawks wearing their throwbacks. These need to be a permanent fixture. These Titan jerseys, they have sucked. They've sucked since 1999 when they went to Tennessee. They've sucked for years. The Oilers jerseys. It brings back nostalgia. It brings back Warren Moon, Eddie George, all those kind of guys. Like I loved the look. I loved everything about it.
Yeah, I did too. I know it's funny because a lot of people in Houston are kind of mad because they were actually throwing back these jerseys and Tennessee shouldn't be wearing them. But when a team moves, they have all the rights to the logo, to the Oilers, to whatever they want to do with these, and they can do whatever the hell they want to, and that's just the sad story of business. And that's the sad part.
Then the damn Texans should have called their name the Oilers. They should have been. It's you decided to name your team the Texans, so don't be mad if they're bringing back history because to some people, the Tennessee Titans are still the Houston Oilers. They'll always be the Houston Oilers. That's just somehow that's how people. 25 years later, that's how people relate. It's like some people still call the Washington the Redskins. It's just some people just associate certain brands.
Yeah, it is. I know that there was a speculation of a college team, the Houston Cougars. They were actually going to probably throw back the baby blues and stuff like that. And I've seen photos of it, but
can't wait.
Tennessee, that's not going to happen. It can't happen. Tennessee actually sent them a letter to cease and desist. They cannot be using those throwbacks at all. They can't be using those same colors as the Oilers. So or any merchandise of the baby blues or anything like that regarding to the Oilers. So I seen that today. I was like, ooh, but it would have been cool to see the Houston in those colors, but they can't do it because it's all copyright infringement on the Oilers and all that stuff. So they couldn't do it. But in turns, my other highlight player is DeAndre, the D hop to the ski hop. He had 39 points out 63% snaps. 6 targets, 4 receptions, 28 yards, 3 touchdowns in this, and he was averaging 32 yards per catch. So, even though that, with the rookie being in there, I think this elevates D-Hop. With, the chance that a gunslinger and D-Hop can actually, have the moment to actually, break away and actually get downfield. And it showed in this game, too, that he had the ability to get downfield and was able to chuck the ball down to D-Hop for 3 touchdowns, so just the capability of, Will Levis being there, it changes everything. And now that,
he's the same age as Devontae Adams. You don't think that because we all think D-Hop's so ancient, but he's like the same age as Devontae Adams. So he's not a super old guy, and he's still got a step. You don't put up, 128 and 3 tutties like that, all on deep balls. You don't just do that if you don't still have it. So that's good to see. Yeah, if you got shares of DeAndre and you were patient with him, it's paying off.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep. So pretty much in week 5 at Indy, he had 23 points. He had he was a wide receiver 7 at the wide receiver 7. He had 11 targets, 8 receptions for 140 yards. That was in week 5. He had 13 targets in week 1, and he's been averaging between 5 and 7 targets between weeks 1 through 4. And then week 6, he had 5 targets against the Ravens. Only had 1 catch in there, and so I mean, I just think with Levis being there, this could be a possibility of you could see some better games coming ahead if the the Titans actually go this direction with Levis. That there's more possible that D-Hop could see a couple more touchdowns in this game now, or in this season. Then sprinkle in some Burks. Maybe maybe they swap. D-Hop being wide receiver 1. Then toss in Burks being the 2, and then with Henry and Spears in there. This is a good combination. I just just seeing what Levis did, made me all hyped up, man. I was all stoked, so I was just like, yep, we should start him, ship Tannehill out to the Vikings, and we'll call it a career.
Yeah, hell, it's worth a shot because Malik Willis can't play, and you know what you got with Tannehill? He's a divisional round quarterback at best, and that's if everything around him is good, the defense, the weapons. Like he maxed out. He hit his ceiling, and that's the divisional playoff game, and he pissed that away against the Bengals a couple years ago. So yeah, don't want any part of him. Now, let's see what you got with Will Levis. And you know what? Speaking of young impact guys, my gold star player of the week, go put that gold star just for mom, front and center on the fridge. I know y'all got one in 3rd grade. Well, you're getting one now because I'm handing them out for week 8. Rashid Shaheed. Yeah, baby. 3 grab. Jamie mentioned earlier, 3 grabs on 3 targets. That's efficiency. I love efficiency. I'm an efficient guy. Love it. 153 yards, a tutty. Like I was saying, all that, no Saints. It's similar to what's going on with Washington, where the top 3 guys are very, the top 3 receivers are very similar in stats and what they're putting up every week. Similar here in New Orleans between Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, and Shaheed. So they all got within 100 yards of each other. So any of them are decent options. Obviously, Olave is most people consider him a starter in most leagues, as he should be. But yeah, he's only got 1 touchdown. So he's got more touchdowns than he does. He has more touchdowns than Michael Thomas. That's not a bad, almost 500 yards, 3 tutties. He's 8 games into the year. Ain't bad. Ain't bad. I think Shaheed is only his 2nd year. He's worked in nicely. Like he's kind of worked his way into being their number 3 receiver. And people might not have seen that coming because he was an undrafted guy, but yeah, it definitely been showing out so far this year. Any thoughts on Shaheed?
Let's see. Last year he wasn't quite involved last year too much, but he had a couple touchdowns in there. Probably not really a factor last year. I don't think I even paid attention to Shaheed because Olave was the guy. I mean, he was pretty much overseeing. Just a couple touchdowns in there. I mean, week 7 he had a touchdown, and then week 15 he had a touchdown. And it's kind of the same here. I mean, through it, week 1 he had a touchdown in there already. Then he went to week 6 and 8 he had a touchdown. So he's starting to be a little bit of a factor, and I think we'll have to talk about him a little bit more on waiver when it comes tomorrow on our waiver day. So make sure you stay tuned tomorrow because we'll actually be streaming tomorrow too as well with our waivers. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, I think he'd be best in deeper leagues right now if you need somebody. And just looking at his availability, he's already over 20% rostered right now. So I know.
Yeah, definitely 16 man, worth taking a look at. And he'll, like I said, more than likely, because I do the Yahoo side, Jay does the sleeper side, so we'll find some space in one of our lists for Shaheed. Definitely, he'll be, and you can see exactly where his percentages are and what size league you could probably get him in. But he's definitely worth picking up if people are sleeping on him. He's been one of the better surprise of the year. He's putting up better numbers than say like Tyler Boyd, from the Bengals. Everybody thinks he's one of the best, if not the best, number 3 receiver in the league. So just as like a comp, like he's definitely having a damn good season. Speaking of guys that are having a good season, you know what? I have risers. You know what? If you'd watched the show, hey, you'd know we've talked about Pierre Strong. We've talked about Jake Bobo. Jay Bobo. Hey, Bobo. Jay Bobo. Now, this guy's got a bigger this guy's got a bigger name, bigger profile than either of those guys. But Trey McBride, tight end from the Cardinals. We talked a bunch about him last week. Had a damn good week 8. 95 yards receiving. So weeks 1 through 5, he wasn't really doing a lot. He only had 10 targets. I like the little dance you're doing. He only had 10 targets. No, you're good. I'll crack it up. He had less than 80 yards receiving, 10 targets through 5 games. So a lot of that was Zach Ertz, and then obviously Zach Ertz got hurt, and he built a rapport with Josh Dobbs, and now look at him. The last 3 weeks had a total of 25 targets. The last 3 weeks, almost 200 yards receiving. He got a touchdown, averaging almost 11 yards a catch, which is damn good for a tight end. And see where the guy came from. He was a 2nd-round pick out of Colorado State last year. We had such a great tight end draft this past year that you forget that he was actually the top-rated tight end coming out last year. Because we had so many studs: Kincaid, Musgrave, Laporta. He was the 2021 Mackey winner, like the top tight end in college football, and he's out of Colorado State. And you probably remember. Oh, what's up, Jay?
Oh, I thought he was. I thought he came from Iowa, but yeah, I guess
No, Laporta. McBride was a Colorado State guy, but yeah, he won the Mackey Award for 2021. He was the top tight end in the country. Like I said, he was the Kincaid of the previous year, or the Laporta, the Mayer, and he's kind of got lost in the shuffle. And backing up Zach Ertz, who's a veteran, well-known tight end. He's finally getting his chance. But the guy had his senior year in college had over 1,100 yards receiving.
That's
only had
good.
1 touchdown, so that doesn't score a lot of touchdowns. But hopefully they can work on that. But yeah. Over 1,100 yards as a tight end, that's unheard of. Not even Brock Bowers from Georgia is putting up those kind of numbers. 90 grabs, 90 grabs over 1,100 yards receiving. That's crazy. Like nobody's putting up that. He's the all-time tight end leader, receiving leader at Colorado State. So, McBride definitely on the rise. If you don't have him, what's that famous rap line? If you don't know, now you know. Get on the McBride train. I'm gonna dress up like what's that little train? I think I can. I'm getting on the McBride train because I think I can, and go snag him up. He's probably at least 15 or less percent rostered in Yahoo at a minimum. I'll have to double check that. Sleeper too. So he's available in a bunch of different leagues, and it's time. Now's the time to go snag him up, especially with bye weeks. You're gonna need a fill-in tight end one of these weeks, and he's the perfect guy. And is it any thoughts on McBride before we move on to the college spotlight?
No, not too much. Sorry, I was actually distracted because speaking of tight ends, Sam Laporta actually just got a touchdown right before half, so he had a touch on this game.
That calls for a gavel hit. Yeah, gavel hit. Yeah.
But yeah, so if you had Sam Laporta in your lineups tonight, which I did, I'll have to go check that out. He just got a touchdown, and St. Brown has 94 yards receiving already in the first half. They just went to half, so
they're tearing them up. Up.
But other than that, I think
Jared's at that game. Can you tell the people quick. Jared's at that game.
He is at that game. Yep, he actually sent me photos of him. He's actually pretty close. I'll have to ask him. Did you see that Sam Laporta touchdown? But yeah, other than that, yeah, he's pretty close down to the infield there. So yeah, it's pretty good, pretty awesome, man. If you had an opportunity to actually get to the game and see if we haven't seen an NFL game, I'd like to. Closest to us is the Vikings, and I don't know, maybe sometime we'll have to go to a dang football game, but. Other than that, I think that I think we'll talk about Trey McBride a little bit more tomorrow as well. I'm going to go through our waivers to see what justifies what's being picked up, who should you drop, and all that great fun stuff. But other than that, I think it is time to actually hit that college spotlight, and we'll be right back right after our sponsors from Eli and Jamie. Welcome, everybody, to Out of Rhythm Fantasy Sports. I'm Jamie. That's Eli. We're hitting up some college prospects for the 2024 NFL draft. So, welcome in. If you've been with us for a while, we just recapped like all the, NFL weekend. We did some highlighted players, and now we're actually hitting up Blake Corum from Michigan State, running back. So we'll discuss him a little bit, and then we'll be on our way. But hopefully everybody stayed tuned, and if everybody doesn't catch this, Blake Corum will be he will be in our playlist on YouTube as well. So Eli, take her away.
Yeah.
Oh, it's time, baby. Yeah, time to drop the elbow off the top rope, because that's what my man Blake Corum has been doing to him and his whole Michigan team. 8-0, number 2 team in the country. I think they're the best. I think they're better than Georgia. I think they're better than Florida State. Yeah, I think they're better than all of them. But put a gun to my head. This is just my own personal opinion. I'm not going off of what ESPN says or PFF or other places. This is just my own personal opinion based on his size, his 40 time, kind of his skill set. Can catch passes, doesn't catch a lot of them. Really, really trunky, really lower body strength, speed is pretty, decent for an NFL running back. I'd say DeAndre Swift, just based on the highlights, just based on the body of works. DeAndre had similar stats at Georgia to what Blake Corum has at Michigan so far. So that would be my comp. And that's not bad. DeAndre Swift is having a renaissance career year with the Eagles. I mean, he's really almost bettering everything he ever did with Detroit. So it's not a bad place to be. DeAndre's playing like a top 10 fantasy back right now. So that's not a bad spot. PFF has him ranked as the 56th best prospect, number 2 running back. So that just tells you it's a weak running back class. There's really nobody in the top 40 for sure. You can argue that, maybe he could be, maybe 45th prospect, 50th prospect, but they have him at 56. Right now, he's projected to be a late second round pick, which would probably put him in the Baltimore mix. I think he'd look, you know what? They had a guy years ago, me and Jamie remember, Ray Rice, as long as he doesn't punch his girlfriend in the elevator. They had a guy years ago. He's got a similar build to Ray Rice, runs the same way. So Ray, they remember Ray Rice. Yeah, right. I think he'd fit in great and actually give them a durable back that doesn't get hurt. Like J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards and Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell, and the list goes on and on and on of injured, unreliable running backs. Hell, if Lamar had a reliable running back, he might have a Super Bowl already. Who knows? But I think that'd be a good fit for him. 2022 stats from last year. This guy was an absolute animal. Had over almost 1,500 yards rushing. Had 18 touchdowns. The receiving side, he's got good hands. They just don't throw the ball to him a bunch. I mean, he's one of those guys that you'll see more of it when he gets in the NFL. You see 11 catches, 80 yards and a tutty. You're like, oh, those are pedestrian numbers. But yeah, they just don't use him in that capacity. I mean, he was their bull workhorse last year. So far this year, his average carry is up, so he's more efficient. as you can see, 111 attempts for, a little over 600 yards, but the touchdowns, I mean, is ridiculous. This guy's on pace for 20 touchdowns. I mean, he is just, that's in the Big Ten. I mean, this isn't some small conference guy, playing at wherever the hell, Wyoming, putting up 20 touchdowns. I mean, this is legit 20 touchdowns against, real defenses that are going to have NFL prospects. I mean, so this is very impressive. We'll see what he can do against Penn State, Ohio State, because Michigan have them coming up 2 of the last 4 games of the regular season. So, but yeah, that's impressive. 13 touchdowns in 8 games. It's, damn impressive. He was an All-American last year. Might be again this year, more than likely. You definitely get to 1,000 yards rushing. Probably not going to have the same rushing yards as last year because he's just not going to have the attempts. But like I said, the TDs are going to be up there. Probably another All-American season. He was a 4-star recruit coming out of Baltimore. So going to Baltimore makes sense. It really does. I mean, it'd be almost a hometown kid. I think that makes a ton of sense. They don't have to trade up for him. I think he's going to fall right into their lap late second round. Let J.K. Dobbins walk. Gus Edwards, if he stays on the team, Gus can go back to being a backup, like good backup like he was. They don't need Justice Hill, these kind of clowns. So, any thoughts on Blake?
Yeah, pass it over to me, huh? Yeah. Blake. Yes, pass that doobie on over here. Right now, Blake Corum, I mean, the Michigan rush game, they're averaging about 174 yards per game, which is about 41st in the country. I mean, not bad. I mean, it could be better. I mean, especially with Corum smacking around 13 touchdowns, and it could be better. Right now, Michigan's average per game is about 4.3 yards per game. That's about 28th best in the country right now. I mean, you would think that'd be a little bit more, but there's other teams out there. Their run game's just elite and just running out there. Overall, Blake Corum's got 605. Welcome to South Dakota. Right now he's 31st overall with with yards, total yards right now. He's ranked 31st in the country. He's actually ranked 32nd with 5.45 rushing yards per attempt. So I mean, this is his overall rushing per attempt, and he's got 13 touchdowns, which is first overall for actually and it. See, you got me all stumbled. 13 touchdowns overall, so that's first overall for running backs in general. Yeah, he's.
Who's saying that? Joe. It was Joe back in like 2000. I remember that song. Stuttering.
But overall, right now, so total carries right now for the season, he actually has 111 yards carried, 111 carries already for the season. Carries per game is about he's been averaging about 13 yards, or not 13 yards, 13 carries per game. So the only 100-yard game he's actually had so far was actually in week 3 against Bowling Green. Other than that, he hasn't really had any like standout great like 100-yard games. He's just been only averaging maybe 60, 70 yards per game. I mean, as elite as this guy is, you would think he would have a little bit more of 100 yard games in there. A couple more, 2-yard, couple two TD touchdowns in there. But you haven't seen that yet. Right now on NFL Draft Buzz, they actually got him ranked first. First overall, he's ranked first overall right there. Behind Trey Benson from Florida State, Donovan Edwards from Michigan, and then we have Braylon Allen, who we talked about as well, from Wisconsin, and Trayvon Henderson from Ohio State. So he's leading the rank right now. So and I think they kind of change it up weekly, and this was just I think they kind of change it up based on what they're doing here, what they think. But overall, probably second or late draft pick. Um, he's actually 51st overall rank wise, but right now they have him in RB rank is first, so they have him first overall. My NFL comp is actually Aaron Jones. That's who I kind of comp him to.
I think, yeah. See, I think Aaron Jones is a little bit better out of the backfield catching passes, but in between the tackles, yeah, I could see Aaron Jones too.
Yeah, the only downfall with him is he was injured. He had a kind of a knee injury in 2022. So I mean, durability issues, that could be, it could be a factor. If teams could think that he could be a cowbell running back, that can carry the load, take the load. And the other thing too is he's not really like a dual threat running back. He hasn't really like furnished that or stabilized him like out of the backfield. He might have a few catches, but if he wants to be a dual threat running back, he'll have to put some more work into that part of his game to actually, I mean, to actually be like, to have that durability, people, teams wanting him, you know what I mean?
I think he can. I think he's been underutilized because like I said, he's got more of a Ray Rice, Maurice Jones-Drew, DeAndre Swift. These kind of short, compact, and Maurice Jones-Drew. He came into the league similar, out of UCLA. Didn't catch, but he worked his way into being a receiving back, and he became one of the best backs in the league. If people remember, like 15 years ago in the NFL, Maurice Jones-Drew was a guy that came to my mind, but and he's got Edwards too. He's got, it's almost like almost like what Texas had going on, but like a better version of it. Remember, Texas had Roschon Johnson and Bijan last year. Had two NFL, first, second day level guys in their backfield, and they have a similar situation here where these two are the first and second rated running backs coming out. So that could be it too, and it's saving his body. I mean, really, if you think about it, and going to a place like Baltimore, like he's kind of projected from a few mock drafts, like I think that would save his body too. If they like that, he wouldn't have to be. You go to the Giants, you're going to be a feature every down. I mean, you're going to take a beating. You're going to be a feature every down back. They're going to expect you to replace Saquon. There's certain places, Tennessee, it's a Derrick Henry, like places like that. Baltimore, it's kind of more like the Miami, San Francisco, what San Francisco used to be, where it's like running back by committee, go with the hot hand. And so I think Corum could last a while in that kind of a system.
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, the Ravens probably wouldn't hurt.
Same from the injuries.
Yeah. Those are some of the things I've seen. On the upside, I mean, he has great vision to actually get through a lot of these tight places, these little tight openings in the offensive line. So I mean, he's good with that, and then he's got the agility actually to shake tacklers and whatnot to actually get to the second level. So I mean, when he does get to the open field, I mean, he's a chunk runner. I mean, he can get those yak yards after seeing those open holes through those O lines. So I mean, he's got the ability to actually just burst through lines. I mean, he's almost kind of like it's kind of similar to Zeke, but in a smaller version of him, maybe possibly, the way you can see through the line and just kind of get through him through the open field, because he's, being 5'8", he's a pretty hard tackler. Be pretty hard tackler. And I'm not sure what Zeke was. Maybe Zeke was what, 5'11"?
Zeke's like 6 foot, like 5'11", 6 foot. I think if Blake Corum was Zeke's size, he'd be a top 10 pick. Yeah. I think what's holding, because he's got like high end skill set. It's just he's a smaller, and people worry about the durability too, which is definitely a question mark. And then if you're Baltimore, because I keep saying Baltimore because I've seen a lot of these kind of backs that they take, it's the last thing you probably want is an injury prone back. I mean, you've seen that song and dance for almost 10 years now. So I think I think where he can make his bones is like I said, are these two big games, Penn State, Ohio State at the end of the year, and then the playoff. Playing against a Georgia, playing against an Oregon, playing some team like that, and just hey, how are you going to do against the big boys? You can tear up Bowling Green, but we want to make sure that you can put up 120 and a touchdown or two against the big boys.
Yeah,
just to kind of reaffirm where and maybe raise his draft stock between that, the Senior Bowl, combine. Yeah. Maybe he can work his way up.
Yeah,
maybe the Raiders. Maybe goes early second. Maybe he works his way up and somehow he's an early second. He goes to the Raiders. I think that'd be if they let go of Josh Jacobs, don't want to pay. Want to move off him, and I could see Corum going there. That's another place too. The Raiders.
Yeah, I was trying to think of some other needy running backs. I mean, there's some out there, but it's hard saying right now. I mean, these are all all speculations, mock drafts and stuff like that, because you can't predict.
It's all subjective.
Yeah, it is, and that one could spend quite a bit of time of just talking about, well, he could go here or he could go here. I mean, you don't know where where a lot of these teams are going to finish from the NFL, just NFL wise. Which team's going to have the bad, the worst records? What teams are really needy for running backs? Hell, you never know. I mean, Blake Corum can end up on the Bills and just be, not be recognized at all.
Miss away a couple of years of his career like Zach Moss did. Yeah, but we both agree that he's got great instincts. Though you could argue durability and some of the other factors. Jay worries about him out of the receiving game because that's pretty much what you need to do in this modern NFL. You need to be like a Travis Etienne. You need to be a dual threat. You need to be an Austin Eckler. You need to be a guy like, dual threat. So there's questions there for sure, but the instincts are there. Like he's got great instincts. There's some backs that I don't think Najee Harris has great instincts. Like he's an NFL guy I don't think is very good anymore. Or if he ever was, I don't think he's got great instincts. But yeah, Blake Corum I think has great instincts.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Other than that, we'll just kind of we'll kind of wrap this up here, and then we'll be right back after these. We'll be right back after these messages, sponsored by us again. Oh, well, I think it's almost time for us to get the hell up out of here. This crappy
that escalated quickly.
Right? Yeah, this Lions game is kind of shitty. They had pretty much 3 field goals and a touchdown in this game. There's really wasn't a lot kind of going up in there. Donovan said he's just saying that our razors are amazing. My balls have never been so smooth.
The lawnmower 2.0.
Right.
I could totally read off if we had some sponsors. I could totally read them off. We'd have 30-second bits like that, like the rest of these guys doing these shows.
Right. But
I have a review. We got this here.
Yeah. We do. I think we do. Other than that, there really wasn't much. I'm just kind of watching the Monday night game here a little bit. Not too. There hasn't been really anything really exciting besides the Laporta touchdown and 3 field goals from the Lions, and then I'm not sure. I think the Raiders actually got a touchdown in there too or something. I'm not sure who got the touchdown, but right now it's 16-7. Donovan says, "Oh man, those salt and vinegar ones are the best." Are you talking about pistachios? Tasty. All right, guys. I think we appreciate everybody joining in. We had a lot.
I was gonna say Jimmy chips. I was gonna say some Jimmy chips. I could go for some Jimmy chips. So good, so delicious, so good.
Yep. But yeah, other than that, I think we'll kind of recap. We'll just kind of jump in, recap the Monday night game quick on our Tuesday waivers, quick as
Oh, I
to when
would,
we.
big boy. Should worry about that.
Eli would do a live demonstration if the sponsor was paid enough. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he would too.
Pay up, pay up.
Well, everybody, we appreciate your time. I think it's time for us to actually get the hell up out of here. Make sure you guys join our Discord, and make sure you guys follow us on our Spotify, Apple, and Google platforms. Our Discord is actually in the description below. So get in there, jump in, come talk to us in Discord. Waivers are tomorrow too as well. So get in there, join us, have some conversations. We got NBA, hockey, college. There's a little bit more in the Discord than what we do here on the show. So other than that, everybody, we appreciate people that actually commented today. We had a few commenters jumping in, talking with us tonight. Is there anything else, Eli, before we get the hell up out of here?
Yeah, of course. Come back tomorrow night. If you guys, if you're out trick-or-treating, totally understand with your kids, or if you're an adult and do that sort of thing, it's a little weird, but okay, to each their own. But if you have time to work in a little out of rhythm, we'll be back, same bat time, same bat channel, 7 o'clock tomorrow night, Central Time. And we'll be doing some waivers, do a few DFS, do my Fab Five with DFS bargains for you. And hopefully it'll be a lot shorter. We always intend these shows to be shorter. That's why we split it up into 2 nights. It just happened to be a 2-hour show where, got the gift of gab. It happens. But yeah, thank everybody for tuning in. Comments. Hopefully you guys, come back tomorrow night. The water's fine. Dip your toe in.
Yeah, nope, Donovan, you're all good. Appreciate your time and your comments too as well. So we appreciate it. And the Raiders just picked off Goff for a touchdown. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Helps
all right, guys.
Nobody.
You're right. Where's my
Oh, bro, this guy stinks.
All right, guys. We're gonna get the hell up out of here. Time to jet. Alrighty. Where is? All right, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay tuned.